Good day, folks, and welcome back to the channel. I didn't get to go out of town like I had planned, so today's video features another historic neighborhood in Columbus, Georgia, historic Warracaba and Lake Bottom Park. You'll see a variety of housing in this neighborhood, including, as I mentioned, in the other historic neighborhood that I went to down near the river, an actual low-density apartment complex. So that was pretty neat. Nobody wants NIMBYism, except under certain circumstances. We can get into that in another video. But anyway, let's get on with the news. According to the WSJ, the Wall Street Journal, home prices rose higher than ever in May, with a high of $419,300. And for the third month in a row, home sales have plummeted. The rates are just too high. And it's really bad because it's gotten so horrible that Zillow says you need to put down a whopping 35% down payment for your mortgage. So house inventory on the market is also plummeting, except for Florida, of course, where high insurance rates and the new law requiring all condos to meet certain building requirements and maintenance requirements has HOA fees skyrocketing. The two combined have caused a plethora of condos and houses to go on the market in Florida this year. The lucky folks sold their houses last year because they read the law and knew about it beforehand. This influx of high-priced houses on the market are causing the median home price to rise because all the medium-level houses and the lower-level houses, as far as smaller houses and less expensive houses, are being outnumbered by the expensive ones and their prices. Affording a house is getting tougher. It doesn't help that more entry-level jobs are disappearing due to artificial intelligence. In fact, many freelance jobs in basic writing, basic coding, and basic translating are disappearing from the job market because AI now has the capacity to do these tasks for minimal costs. That's the biggest thing. If the company is indebted to shareholders like they are legally bound to do, they're going to lower costs any method they can without having to impact their shareholders, and preferably for profits to go up. So wages and labor are going to be what they cut the most. So AI like ChatGPT are becoming better at these jobs, but they're not well enough to get rid of the industries altogether. But they're good enough that entry-level jobs are becoming scarcer. And that is why it's important to be able to upskill and to be able to find other niches and hack your way across the economy. Unfortunately, the times we're in likely won't change anytime soon. And while young people are feeling the squeeze, the bet is on inheritance to keep the status quo. Since it is likely that Gen Z and millennials will stick with the status quo as Gen X did upon inheriting money from parents and grandparents, times will get rough for those who don't inherit much or anything at all. The boomer generation has kept in power long past overdue to bridge the wealth transfer of inheritance. This means the people who inherit all their money for retirement and lifestyle increases will be ahead of those who don't get much or anything at all. The USA and the West have always been about inheritance, but at least it used to be that you could work your way up to a different socioeconomic class in the USA with dedication, education, and skills, as well as gumption. This started to fall apart in the 2010s, and now it's even harder without inheritance. This is likely because more than ever there is talk in Washington and different states to get rid of inheritance taxes and estates taxes. This means that more money will be flowing into inheritance funds and, of course, people's retirement funds. This can help people with down payment on houses, to buy cars, or for them to be able to take a break from work and go back to school or study to get a better job. So basically, you have to hack education, housing, and so on to get ahead. What do I mean by that? You have to do your research and think things through instead of doing the average of what everybody else does, which is increasingly difficult as people find out what works. It's basically keeping one step ahead of general advice. Once it becomes a news article or common knowledge, it's often too late. For example, multiple streams of income and side hustles have been maxed out. Vending machines were a niche for a few years, but blew up during the pandemic and everybody started doing it. If you live in a moderately big or medium-sized city, you probably already have a saturated vending machine market. Same thing with laundromats and car washes. These small businesses can sustain your income, making you at least $30,000 per year, mostly because you only needed to be employed yourself. You didn't have to employ other people or maybe one other person. I think the best hacks right now are house hacking, living with family members or friends until you all can afford houses. And if your friends or family don't mind paying your mortgage and living with you, paying you rent. People like to say, what about gig work? Well, it used to be you could do pretty well on that track as well. But the IRS is coming for that. Under the new rules set forth by the IRS, if you got paid more than $600 for the transaction of goods and services through third-party platforms, payment platforms like Venmo, you receive a 1099-K for reporting the income. There is no way around the attack on workers. It's harder than ever to make a living. Gig work actually explains how this started. More and more traditional jobs have employers getting tired of paying benefits. Remember, the most expensive part of any business is labor. So, not paying benefits and not paying taxes for labor saves a company lots of money. In fact, a new trend is increased contract work. So many employers do not want to pay benefits and would prefer to pay you a little bit more per hour than they would naturally pay you under the regular system, and rather than pay you health care and provide a 401k. Again, back in the 90s, they got rid of pensions and preferred the 401k. What is the 401k? That's where you put all your money into the stock market, into index funds and exchange traded funds. These put all the risk on you. Your employer no longer has to provide for you in the future when you retire. You have to figure out how to make your own retirement. That's what a 401k is. They definitely do not want to handle W-2s and taxes. I will do another video on this, but if you want to get ahead of that before it becomes a known trend, there is your introduction. Gig work has now become contract work. If you're a professional, you now go to contract work. It's where you don't get a W-2 and you have to do your own taxes and you have to provide for your own health care and your own benefits, like a solo 401k. So then you say, well, I don't want a white collar job. I don't want a cushy office job. Well, a new trend is the revival of trade jobs or blue collar jobs amongst millennials and Gen Z. This is super cool for young people who opt out of going to higher education, but there is a catch. These jobs are bad on your body. I've not seen a lot of people talking about this or heard a lot about this. I know this just from being around healthcare industry and being around blue collar job workers and family members and amongst friends. They are tough on you, blue collar jobs, and you need to have a plan if you or your peers pursue them. That plan is good health care and a good concept for retirement. You need to save your money like everyone else, or even more. You may need workman's comp in the event of an accident on the job, and that could put you out of working for the rest of your life, so then you'd have to do Social Security and disability. And if you're familiar with Social Security and disability, you often don't get it the first time you apply. In fact, sometimes you need a lawyer, and you need money for that. You'll also need to definitely get short-term and long-term insurance. And you need to keep yourself healthy and have a plan to retire in your 50s because your body may not hold up past your 60s. You also need a plan for if you wreck your body and need substantial health care in your older age and end up with a bad back or bad knees, or worse, to be in a nursing home. Personally, this is why I prefer cushy office jobs, and I'll make another video on how this plays out over a lifetime. But in my personal opinion, it's a lot easier to get an education, to get experience and knowledge, and go as a freelance type of person. I call yourself free contract, running around from job to job, than it is to do blue collar jobs, unless you find a blue collar job where you can work for 10, 15 years really hard and then make your own business and have other people work for you. That's a very good plan if you can get that to work. Again, the fickle job market, whether it's white collar professional jobs or blue collar jobs or factory jobs and manufacturing jobs, it lends credibility into why I continue to make the argument that buying a house and paying it off is so essential if you're not a doctor, techie, or entrepreneur making upwards of $150,000 off the bat. And working for a corporate overlord to live paycheck to paycheck late into your 60s in hopes of getting Social Security is a horrible plan. Mostly because the job market is that fickle. Companies do not want people on their payroll for decades like they used to. Many companies do not even hire up the ladder from within anymore. Most upward mobility is gone. Usually they hire from outside the company for middle and higher level manager positions or middle and higher level different types of position. The big fad is sniping talent from rival companies. This happened a lot when I worked for corporate in Atlanta, Georgia. Half the staff in our department got hired by a rival company in the course of 1 year. They all went one level higher than they were at the company we worked for. In fact, a former colleague had invited me out to lunch to get me to join. I turned it down because it was more of a sideways position than an upward position, and I wanted a longer stint at the company for my resume to show some longevity. Plus, the pay was only like $5,000 more and not worth the jump. That particular plan actually worked in my favor because the next position I had, I went from mid level to senior level. It was a senior level position, and with senior level because I got an accreditation. I actually got a professional certification that's very difficult to get. So I was able to jump up to a senior level position that quickly. It also came with a massive pay raise of $30,000 more. So sometimes it's very good to kind of think through what you want to do in your career. And while I'll make another video on why it's important to have a plan on how your job fits into your overall career in life, I will say it's sometimes more important to choose a job that will give you tons of experience and longevity for just the time being than to jump from job to job for a little more money. You got to weigh your priorities for sure. You have to make a big jump to a bigger job after having very good stint at one job or multiple jobs. Well, that's it for this video, folks. Hit the like button, comment, and subscribe on this video, and give me some insight, especially if I gave you some good information. I'll see you on the next video.